Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session, LibAnswers for Public Libraries. This webinar is brought to you by the Western New York Library Resources Council. I'm Caitlin Kenny, Research and Reference Services Coordinator from WNYLRC, and with me is Jen Northup, Member Engagement Services Coordinator, and we will be your moderators for today. Just to take care of some housekeeping, Jen and I are available to help you with any technical problems during the presentation, including sound, captioning, and CE certificates. Captioning is available. To toggle the subtitles on or off, click the Show Caption button at the bottom of your screen. Click it again to turn it off. If you have any questions, you may feel free to submit them through the chat. We will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation today. We might not be able to get through all of the questions, but just so you know, feel free to ask them and we'll do our best to get through as many as possible. And go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat now and share what library system you're coming from. All attendees are expected to follow a code of conduct, and I will link to that in the chat shortly. To summarize, please treat all staff, event attendees, and speakers with respect. Those who are not adhering to the code of conduct will be removed from the webinar. We are recording the webinar today, and I will share the recording via email when it is available. Toward the end of the webinar, we will also share a link to the certificate of attendance and evaluation forms in the chat. Now that I've completed the housekeeping, I'd like to introduce our presenters. I connect with Sarah when onboarding new participating libraries for the statewide virtual chat reference service, AskUs 24/7. The Cooperative uses SpringShare's LibAnswers and LibChat platforms for the service, and Sarah will be sharing how the platforms work. If you're interested, and I hope you are, in learning more about the AskUs 24/7 Cooperative, I would be happy to chat further with you, and I'll put my email in the chat too if you want to reach out. And now, please welcome Sarah Post, Consortium Sales Manager at SpringShare.
Thanks so much, Caitlin. Good morning, everyone. It is always a joy for me to be with New York librarians. I used to work as the member services coordinator for Connect New York. And I lived in Buffalo for a while. I do not miss the snow. However, I do miss the food a lot. So it is always a joy to be with WNYLRC and to be with New York librarians in general. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about LibAnswers today. And the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that we can go ahead and get started taking a look at some things together. Now, as Caitlin said, LibAnswers is the platform that supports AskUs 24/7, and it goes so far beyond LibChat. We'll talk quite a bit about that today, but my goal today is to kind of give you an overview of what the platform can do, and also maybe give you some ideas of how it can be utilized at your library. We'll have time for Q&A at the end, so if you do have any questions, pop them into chat. We'll make sure we can try to get to them at the end of our session today. Now, LibAnswers is quite a power tool, and if you can hear anything in the background throughout my presentation today, I am not equating it to one of those sounds that you can hear. What I mean by that is LibAnswers is a complete communication solution. It includes a lot of really excellent components that are going to allow you to stay in touch with your patrons and provide a lot of really excellent reference and customer service. So this includes a universal inbox with powerful ticketing functionality that's going to route all of your library questions into one place. And of course, also LibChat to help you answer questions right away, even from far away. We also now have automated chatbot, which is included with LibAnswers. And this is the part where I assure everyone, our chatbot is not AI. It is a rules-based chatbot. We also have a searchable FAQ knowledge base that works for you day and night so your patrons can get answers anytime. LibAnswers includes a social media management area as well. And in terms of an incredible amount of statistics, we also have reference analytics for phone and in-person interactions that are going to help you keep track of all of the work that you're doing at your library. And then finally, there's system status management that's going to help keep your patrons informed about the different services that you offer at your library. Now, when you have LibAnswers, your patrons can reach out to you any time of day via whatever method that they prefer. So that means if they like to email you, great. We can also embed widgets in different spaces on your website, on your LibGuides, really any place that you can post embed code. They can also text you optionally. We have an SMS text add-on you can add to LibAnswers. And then, of course, LibChat as well. So the idea here is that everything's going to come into the same queue, so you only have one place to check when you start your day. And you don't have everything living in different email programs or in different people's computers, and everybody's on the same page. Now, of course, if you do need more help for covering all of your bases, answering your patrons' questions, you can also join the WNYLRC Cooperative AskUs 24/7, which is also going to include some cooperative, global cooperative 24/7 fallback coverage as well. And Caitlin can get you more information about that. It's a great service. They've been around for a long time, and Caitlin and WNYLRC do a really excellent job of managing that. Now, something else I should mention here too, before we dive deeper into the system, is that whether you end up wanting to have your own standalone LibAnswer system, or whether you want to participate via the shared group system with WNYLRC, the service is going to allow your libraries to provide a collaborative chat reference experience for each other too. So we have some flexibility there for you. Now, essentially, bottom line, librarians are going to answer patron chats on behalf of all other member libraries within the cooperative, but this means that your patrons can get help even when your doors are physically closed. So now the first thing I really want to show you here is how this all kind of works together. And we're going to start on the Springy demo site for LibAnswers. We have multiple ways your patrons can have their questions addressed. So we're going to start off in our FAQ knowledge base. So the first thing I'm going to do is a very simple search for the book in this case. And our search box works with keywords so that when your patrons type in a word here, it automatically brings up all the FAQs that have that word in it. So we can see here that if I click on one of these, this is actually the title of an FAQ. If we were to click on one of these, say, can I book a study room online? This is going to take me directly to that answer page. So very easy to get to questions. However, if I complete my search, we're going to be taken to our results page, which is fully customizable. And we're also going to be able to customize not only the types of information that shows us up here on the sides, such as this contact box, but also what is searched. So what's nice here is, of course, we're bringing in results from LibAnswers. But if you do happen to be a LibGuides or LibGuides CMS subscriber, you can also bring in results from your LibGuides system as well as your A to Z database list. So this is really can be a one-stop shop for your patrons. Now, the answer that I brought up for you was pretty short because this is our demo system. So let me give you an example of what a really nice, fully fleshed out answer page can look like. So this is the San Francisco Public Library. This is a question page that I always love to bring up because not only do they do a wonderful job of walking people through it, it is also about something incredibly relevant, which is Hoopla Digital. So answer pages can have images, links, links to LibCal calendars, and even show related LibGuides or that sort of thing as well. So if I just scroll down here a little bit, we'll get the body of our answer over here. And then the sidebar for the answer page is customizable. So you'll see that they've included ways that folks can get in touch with the library, as well as quick links to information about their library account. So you'll see they have embedded pictures to get folks started here. And what I really love about this is that they have made this very much a kind of self-help tutorial in here. And they're going to go through the process with their patrons using step-by-step screenshots. This one is really great. And if we move down here just a little bit further, they have also embedded videos for how to do this on your iPhone, as well as Android, and getting started on the web, and even on your Fire TV. Bless them. I think they're trying to cover all their bases here, and they have done a really, really excellent job. Now, if you'll bear with me, this is a very long answer, so I'm going to scroll very quickly to the bottom. Some other things I want to point out for you is that answer pages, you have the option to turn on a very quick thumbs up, thumbs down rating system that your patrons can use. What's nice about this is you can quickly get feedback on the FAQ from your patrons to see if it is helpful, thumbs up, or if it's not helpful. And then you can kind of do some adjusting based on the information you're getting from your patrons. So again, this is optional. You don't have to have that turned on, but that is something that you can do. Patrons can also optionally print the answer or share it via social media as well if you have those options turned on. Now, let me go ahead and pop over to another example, and this is the Austin Public Library. They have also done a lovely job on their LibAnswers system. And what I'd like to show for you here is that if a question is not already in the system's FAQ, so say for instance, I'm looking for information about currency, you'll see that we don't have any questions, but patrons can actually then use this question form to ask their question, and it's going to go into that LibAnswers queue where librarians can see it and answer it when the library is open again, if it's already closed. So for example, if I go ahead and click on submit this question, you'll see that we get a pop-up button or a pop-up here that is going to show our form. Now, it did populate a little bit from our search, which is very handy. And then we have the ability to fill out a variety of other pieces of information. Now, this form is customizable to collect exactly what you want. You don't have to require a name, but an email is required to receive an answer, of course. Now, you can even have patrons upload a document or file, as we saw up here. This is really helpful if you're a public library that works pretty frequently with students and may want to have them upload assignment requirements or prompts or things like that, for instance. So very handy to be able to do that. But again, you can customize your form to collect exactly the information you want. You can also have it include things like routing questions. So for example, based on a status, right here, we're looking at a couple different cardholder statuses. This could route to a particular queue if you have multiple queues, or it could route to a particular user within your system. So that is also an option for you when you're creating your form. All right. Now, FAQs that we see, such as we see here, can be organized in a number of different ways in your LibAnswers system. You can have them organized by things like popular, recent, or by things like topic and language, as we see here. Users can also see when the entry was last updated, any topics or tags that have been assigned to it, and as well as how many views it's received. So we can see that this one on how to get a library card is very popular, and I am very happy for them that it is so popular. All right. And now let's pop over again to our friends at the San Francisco Public Library. And this is their main LibAnswers page. Looks a little bit similar to our friends at the Austin Public Library. And what I want to show you here is that they have a couple different contact options. So for example, they also include email, they have a call, they do have this SMX number, this add-on that they have added to LibAnswers, so folks can actually text that. Now, if you have the SMS add-on for LibAnswers, if somebody texts in a question, and when you respond to them, they will actually get your response via text as well. So fun thing about LibAnswers is that the way that folks contact you is the way that they are going to receive their answer. Pretty nice there. Now, this is one of the widgets that we're going to talk about in terms of chat. I'm going to show you another example a little later on, but if we were to click on this, we could go ahead, perhaps. Oh, it's because it's offline, but we could go ahead and start a chat with our librarians if they were online. Now, you'll see that they also have organized their FAQs in a couple different ways. Ones that I mentioned here before, popular, recent, and featured. One of the things that I do really like here that they've done as well, though, is that they have split their FAQs into a couple different languages that makes it really easy for their patrons to find things within their native language. So this is something that you can easily do with the FAQ groups that are available in LibAnswers as well. Bottom line here is that no matter what avenue your patrons are going to use to reach out to you, it can all come into the same place in LibAnswers. Now, you might notice this yellow box over here that says current status of the library's online systems. And this is one of those things that I mentioned to you about the system status and updates page. So in addition to getting patrons answers to frequently or maybe not so frequently asked questions, LibAnswers can also keep your patrons up to date on the status of systems and services at your library. And if you have a lot of databases, a lot of services, or other things that you offer, you may know how difficult it is to keep everybody up to date or fend off a lot of those questions about why is EBSCOhost down. This is one way that you can do it and keep everybody up to date, or have one link that you can reference very easily and very quickly to get people information that they need. So on the system status and updates page, you can add resources such as your electronic databases like we see here, things like catalogs. You'll see that they have a couple different ones. And then also things maybe like printers and copiers, Wi-Fi, and even ebooks like they have here. On the back end, when there's a change in status, so I'm going to use my EBSCOhost example, so when EBSCOhost is down for maintenance, you could easily update the database's status and then add a post with details to keep your patrons informed. So we'll see right now that all of these have a status of normal. However, if one of them needed to be updated, this would change from normal to having an exclamation point to let us know that there is something different. The color would also change as well. It would change from green to red. For us to get more information, then we could click into this to see which database was down. These posts also are going to be able to let us know what is down, or what is being worked on, has some maintenance going on, and then when we might be able to expect for it to be back up. The nice thing about these posts too is, of course, they can be used for outages like I was just saying, but they can also serve to notify your community of new resources and trials as well. So again, this is kind of like a one-stop shop in terms of letting your folks know what's going on with your systems, your services, all those sorts of things. And if you or your patrons want to keep up to date on all the different things that are going on with your systems, we have this handy RSS feed to keep you up to date. So great way to be able to keep folks, updated on what's going on with your systems. It's a big task, so this is a nice way to be able to handle all of that instead of having to individually answer a lot of emails about those sorts of things. All right. So now that we've seen some examples from different clients, we are going to move over to the back end of LibAnswers, and we're going to spend a little bit of time there on the admin side. So this is your LibAnswers dashboard. It's the first thing you see when you log in. And as I've been alluding to, the system comes with one answering queue by default. You can add on additional queues for an extra fee. We do have some libraries who choose to add queues for different reasons. Generally speaking, most commonly I see this for different departments. So things like maybe they want to have a queue for reference questions versus IT questions. That is probably the most common one that I see. Yeah, but you could use different queues for other purposes as well. So when you think of queues, think of it as ways to manage the different types of questions or different types of interactions that you get. So if I scroll down here just a little bit, you'll see the status of the ticket, which queue it's in if you have multiple queues. I will tell you, in our demo system, we have lots, so you'll see a couple different ones here. And then you can also see a snippet of this question. Now, so our first question in the system here right now, we'll see that it has a status of new, which means it's brand new into the system. We have a couple different statuses. We have open, which means that it has been claimed by someone and is waiting, or has been claimed by someone. Pending means that the librarian has responded and is waiting on response from the patron, and closed means closed, that it's been taken care of. So if you want to have a quick look at a question that's come in, you can use this eye icon. This is really handy in case you're about maybe to go on lunch and you want to make sure to not pick up like a 6-part reference question that's going to require more time than you have to answer it. So this one is pretty simple. How do I register for an online event? That's a pretty easy one. So if we wanted to, we could go ahead and claim that ticket. In order to claim a ticket in the system, all we're going to do is just click on that title. Now, I will say this question has already been claimed by my colleague, Darcy. If as an admin, if I wanted to claim the ticket to answer for myself, I could go ahead and unclaim that from her. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that as Darcy's since it looks like she has already drafted a reply. Now, a couple of things to notice on the answer page here is that you're going to get some contact details from about the patron, any tags that have been added. So you can see here, this is the question was about registering for an online event. So this is Darcy's tagged this with information about hours and policies. And you can also assign tasks to tickets. So this is going to be really handy for those multi-part reference questions or other things that may have a couple different activities associated with them that you need to do in order to actually complete the ticket. You can easily add a new task directly from this box. You'll also have a couple different metrics that are available to you on this screen. So we have the number of interactions that have happened for the ticket, as well as an interactions log you can get to. We also have TTFR, which is your time to first response. So from when the patron first submitted the question into the system versus when they first received a response. And then TTC is time to close. All of these metrics are going to be available to you in the statistics that we're going to take a look at just a little bit later on, but very handy to be able to see right off the bat. There are also other things that that can be included on the sidebar, such as answers that are quickly available for reuse, as well as any helpful tools that your admin may want to decide to add in here. So for example, I can search our LibAnswers FAQs, always a great one to have on hand. And I can also search our tickets. We've also included the ability to search Google and our library catalog. All right. So creating a reply is very simple. You can see Darcy's already drafted a reply here. In order to add a reply, I would simply type in here. We can see that this is a rich text modal, so we can include things like links, pictures. This is helpful if you need to share a screenshot or something of that nature. So lots of things that you can do here as you would in a standard email. Now, if you do need some help from a colleague on this, LibAnswers is really great in terms of collaborating with your colleagues on answering questions. So let's say I'm going to continue to use this example. This is a 6-part, very in-depth reference question, and you're able to answer 2 parts of the reference question, but you need some help from Sally down in archives to finish this off. So let's say you could include a note here that says, you know, I've answered parts 1 and part 2. Sally, can you address parts 3, 4, 5, and 6? So you could include a note here. And then once you've included your note, you can actually assign or transfer that ticket directly to another user in the system. So again, maybe we're looking for Sally down in archives. We could transfer that directly for her to then handle. Or if we do have multiple queues in our system, we could go ahead and transfer it to a queue instead. So in this case, say maybe it's not a multi-part reference question, it's something that came into the reference queue, but it's actually an IT question. We could easily just transfer it over to the IT queue. No problem there. So options for working very closely and very easily with your colleagues on LibAnswers as well. All right. So you'll answer questions. Your patrons are going to receive their answer via email, via SMS, as I said, basically however they ask the question, and you can do it all from your computer in your LibAnswers interface. The other thing here, we always say there are two parts to answering a LibAnswers question. One is the primary purpose, answering your patron's question. The second part is deciding whether or not others might benefit from this question and if it's a good fit for adding to your FAQ knowledge base. So those are the two parts of that. And you can actually easily add a question as an FAQ if you think that this is something that you will get frequent questions about. So let's say that I do want to do that. I do want to add that. What we can do here, and we're going to talk about reference analytics later on, so I'm going to skip over that. What I can do is if I want to add to a particular, let's see here. Oh, create a reply. If I want to add this to a particular FAQ group, all I'm going to do is select the FAQ group from my list. So say perhaps I'd want to add it to Ask a Librarian. I can go ahead and then once I submit that, I can submit it with a couple different statuses. Say we're going to just submit the reply, patron has got their answer. And then what this is going to do is once I hit this, it's actually going to take me over immediately to edit that reply so that we can make it more generic and more broad for an FAQ kind of audience. So very easy to take a ticket, no matter how you get it, whether that's from chat, whether that's a question asked via the form, and turn it into an FAQ if it's something that you think you're going to get often from your patrons. All right, so now let's talk a bit about LibChat. And for this one, I'm going to go up into my orange navigation bar and I'm going to click Connect. Now, this is your operator console for LibChat. You can see chats that come in here and start your interaction. And we do actually have a screen sharing add-on as well if you want to be able to share your screen or have your patrons share yours. We have integration with Zoom, Cisco WebEx, and Microsoft Teams for screen sharing. So important thing to know there. You can make a ticket from your chats, as I just mentioned. So very easy to be able to switch back and forth, do those sorts of things. And if you need to, you can actually chat with any other operators that are online. So we can see here, for instance, my colleague Sonia is online. If I needed some help with a reference question or just wanted to ask her how her morning's going, I could go ahead and start a chat with Sonia very easily just by clicking on her name and starting a chat that way. I can also chat with all of my other SpringShare staff. This is a great way to be able to connect with everybody, let them know about maybe any staff meetings that are coming up or any other things that should be on everybody's radar. Now, one of the things I want to show you is a couple different options in terms of your settings here. Now, we can see here that I am monitoring a couple different departments. If I only want to monitor a specific department or say I want to be online for my colleagues, I do have the ability to toggle those easily on and off. No problem there. I can also have settings set to notify me when specific queues are pinged for questions. And I can also do things such as toggle on desktop notifications and my sound as well. Now, this is a question I always get. You can change your sound settings. I would play the notification sound. I am not sure it's going to come through for you just because of the way I have my speakers set up. But the default one is very default. You do have the ability to change that by going under your own account settings in LibAnswers. So don't worry, we do have some snazzier sounds for you if you need something with just a little more pizzazz to it. But you can change whether or not you're getting those type of notifications down here in your settings. Something else that's really handy for you is that if you happen to be assigned to monitor chat, but you also are monitoring tickets, you can actually do both at the same time from this screen. You don't have to bounce back and forth between your tabs or anything else. Any tickets that come in as you're monitoring chat will show up here. So pretty nice to be able to go back and forth without having to leave or have, 16, 18, 55 different tabs open. I don't know. That's me on a regular day anyway. So I appreciate the ability to have one less tab to monitor. All right. So this is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Now I am going to do something here, which is a little bit different. I'm going to put myself back online here. And then I am going to pull this out of your view, and I'm going to do this for just 1 minute. So it's pretty easy, right? You can kind of see how you would go about doing a chat reference session with a patron. But it's actually very smooth for your patron to get in touch with you as well. So in order to connect with patrons via chat, you'll want to create and embed a LibChat widget, or probably several widgets in different places. And you can put those on your website, on your LibGuides, or basically wherever you can copy and paste embed code. I'm going to use my colleague Darcy's widget, as the case may be. But if you decide to join the WNYLRC service, Ask Us 24/7, Caitlin's going to work with you on configuring your widgets correctly for the service and getting them in good spots for you. So again, so this is one option for a widget. This is a floating widget. We can see it's got a little nice little icon down here in the corner. So this is asking, how can we help? And I'm going to say, I am going to chat now, and I'm going to provide a name, if I can type today, as well as my email address. Now, this is my actual email address at SpringShare. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to jot that down. And then her widget provides me the option to select a department that I want to chat to. These are all widget options that you can control. Some widgets have the ability, or I should say some widgets, you don't have to have the patron select. It's just going to immediately go to someone. So, but that's, this is the way she has it set up. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to start a chat, and I don't know if you heard that or not. There was this slight ping sound-ish, but that was me actually receiving a chat. And I'm going to go ahead and claim this chat. And on the screen, we're seeing, please wait, a librarian will connect shortly. And now I'm going to claim my chat. It says that I have joined the chat, and I can start chatting with my librarian. So I'm going to say, I have a question, which is great. And I'm going to hear lots of sounds. I don't know, hopefully it's not coming through for you. And on my side, as the librarian, or the screen that you cannot see, I am going to respond with a canned message that is available. And I'm going to send that back to my patron. So it's very much the kind of thing that you would expect from a chat service. It's very smooth. It's very, very typical in terms of that. Now, your patron has the ability to upload a file here. This is something that we've enabled, although it's not something that you have to enable. We are all about options. So lots of things that you have available to you. Something else I want to point out here is that patrons can pop this out into a larger window. They can toggle the sound off. They also have the ability to email or view a transcript and email that to themselves. You will also, of course, retain the full chat's transcript in your system. So all in all, very easy to use, easier for your patrons to get in touch. And then you also have the ability, when your patrons end the chat, to include something like this, where they're asked to rate how that chat happened, or rate that transaction, which is going to provide you with some excellent pieces of feedback as well. Those will also go into your stats. All right. So now let's get back into our system. And I am going to go back to our dashboard. We're going to talk a bit about reference analytics. This is one of those things that I had mentioned that we were going to cover today. Coming from e-resources and doing a lot of statistics myself, reference analytics is one of those things that I am very excited about. So you're going to get really good statistics for all the transactions that happen in your LibAnswers system automatically. So those chat transactions, anything that comes in through the form, FAQ questions, your reference, or excuse me, the searches and things like that, whether or not they're completed for your FAQs, lots and lots of statistics. But what about when you have somebody who just shows up in front of you at the desk, or if they call, or if you have an online appointment via LibCal or something like that? Live interactions are a little bit more difficult to capture, right? And our concern is that we want you to be able to capture the full amount of work that you're doing at your library in terms of reference. So welcome reference analytics. Reference analytics is going to allow you to customize the type of information that you're capturing. It's also going to allow you to customize how you're capturing it. So each LibAnswers system, individual standalone LibAnswers system that is, comes with 5 reference analytics data sets that you're going to be able to customize for different circumstances. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our reference stats for our public libraries right now, just so that we can see how we have this one customized. But you can see here that we've also created ones for circulation, for library tours, for archives. So there's a lot of different use cases here, and that they can all be slightly different. So in this case, we would type in our question or in our answer if this was, let's say, an in-person interaction or something that is not being captured by the LibAnswers system digitally. And then we're going to go ahead and answer these questions. Now, we do have full integration with the read scale. And if you need instructions for the read scale, we do have those here as well. And this is in terms of how complex the question is. So you're going to select that here. And then you're also going to be able to record information about things like what branch you were at, where were you, and where were you, I believe, is like at the reference desk, yes, staff office, things like that. Who asked, what that question type was, how long it took you to complete that, difficulty level, things of that nature. So by recording all these different types of information about your in-person interaction, your phone interaction, you're then able to surface and include this in the holistic view of the reference that you're providing at your library. So again, this is one type of reference interaction or one type of analytics that you could set up. But if I go down to archives, we'll see that we can actually, that it's rather different. So this one's pretty short. Obviously, this is not a fully fleshed out one, but you can have different transactions, different patron types, different staffing areas, whatever really you need to capture the type of work that's being done at your library. Now, the last thing I do want to touch on is the stats that are available in addition to your reference analytics. Again, these are one of the things that I think we're asked about a lot, and you're asked to use very heavily in your reporting and the types of things that you need to show your administrators and your boards these days. So we've got you covered. Don't worry. Now, for your general system summary, you're going to get a lot of information about like what is being housed in your system, FAQ entries, your LibChat transactions, and then tickets as far as where they came from, so where they're being parsed out from. You'll also be able to get really detailed statistics on a number of different pieces of the system. Probably some of the most interesting, they're all interesting to me, but probably some of the most interesting ones are going for your tickets are going to be things like your turnaround time. For analytics transactions, you may be looking at things like the crosstab report. I'll pull this up in just a second because this is very interesting. And then we can also get really detailed reports on your LibChat as well. So the chat reports are going to be really helpful for you in terms of surfacing how chat transactions are going, how long they tend to last, how many you have, if there's any time of day or day of the week that you get them more heavily. This types of information that's good for you to know when you're thinking about staffing, when you're thinking about, what types of, that's for LibChat, I was really thinking like really helpful for staffing. For LibChat also, though, too, you can really surface good transactions, so well-rated transactions with with your patrons, and then be able to use them as examples in training when you're training staff. So that's one of those really nice things that you can do here as well. Now let me pull up this crosstab report because this is really interesting here. Now, the crosstab report is going to allow you to select a field. So let's say I am going to switch to our public stats since that's what we were looking at. So I'm going to say, what branch were you at? And then we're also going to select another one of our metadata fields. In this case, maybe I want to see what branch and who asked. So I want to know what patrons, what types of patrons are asking, how am I trying to say that? What types of patrons are asking questions where? There we go. Thank you for bearing with me. And then we'll also run that for a specific time period. So let's say I want to run it for January of 2023 through present. And then we're going to go ahead and create our cross-tabular report. So what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to compare those two fields in that you're recording this information for that you might not be able to see otherwise, because typically we're going to look at this as how many questions are asked at the main branch, how many questions are asked at the downtown branch. But in this way, we can see that fully 60% of the questions that were asked by adult patrons at our main branch, as opposed to, let's say, our Highlands branch, which was older adult. So I should say, or teen in this case. So we're able to really surface some interesting information by doing this kind of crosstab report. In general, though, you can really drill down into a lot of very interesting and very useful information. I think more than anything and beyond interesting, actionable information is what we're really able to provide you in LibAnswers. So I think there's a lot of great use that you can get out of this and a lot of things that you can use in your reports as well. So I want to make sure that we leave plenty of time for Q&A, and I'm happy to, open it up, see what kind of questions we have. I'm going to pull up my chat so I can see that here and see what we have.
Thank you, Sarah. That was great and very informative. I haven't had any questions in the chat other than someone asking about working from home part-time as a virtual reference librarian. I found the Spring and New Careers job posting and shared a link to that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. If anyone wants to ask any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll read them out loud. We just got one. Do you provide staff training sessions?
Oh, that's a really good question, actually, and I'm very glad you asked. So we have a lot of training and a lot of resources that are available to you. Our documentation is extensive and wonderful. So from within your LibAnswers system, you can get to all of our documentation as well as any live training webinars that are coming up on the calendar. The live training webinars are available to both subscribers and non-subscribers. So if it's something that you're thinking about and you're like, wow, I'd really like to get an even more in-depth, view of this system, or if there's something in particular you're thinking about, go ahead and sign up for one of the live training webinars. They don't cost anything. Now, as a subscriber, you will have access to our full catalog of training recordings. That's not something that's available to the general public, and we have a whole bunch of those. So those are available to you. One of the things that I always like to highlight, though, and this is a new feature, but one of the things that I always like to highlight is Springy U. So this is our self-paced learning module. This is what we use for internal training here. It's what I did all my training on to learn about our products. It is incredibly helpful. And you know what? It's because I'm logged into my demo system. Bear with me one moment. I'll get this fixed here. And let's see. But So Spring EU is really nice because you can do, it has courses, but those courses are broken down into blocks. So the whole course might take, say, 54 minutes. And I know I just said that and you're like, I don't have 54 minutes in my day to sit down and do this. It's okay, I don't either. But the blocks are broken down into like 5 minutes or less. This includes normally a video that is 5 minutes, well, 5 minutes or less. And then in addition to those 5-minute videos, it'll also have things that you can do in your system based on what you just saw. And it'll also link out to FAQs as well. So it's very much a multifaceted approach to learning. If you're somebody who needs both like the visual walk me through this as well as like give me step-by-step instructions, that's me. It's a really excellent way to approach it. So we do have a couple of options, just a few, in terms of learning resources. So those are the types of things that we have available for you for help documentation and such.
I'd also like to mention that within AskUs 24/7, anyone can reach out to me and I will provide one-on-one meetings or training sessions to go over something specific with the platform. I've done this multiple times. I'll record the meetings and send them to you too, so you have them for future reference. So that's also an option. Um, so while we're talking about AskUs 24/7, do you want to talk a little bit about the pricing that was developed for public libraries?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we worked on with Cheryl and Caitlin at WNYLRC. And we've developed pricing that's specifically for Ask Us 24/7 and public libraries because we wanted to do something that makes sense for y'all. So pricing for public libraries is going to be based on, let me pull this up correctly. I'm so sorry. So pricing for your public libraries is based on your card holders. And then WNYLRC also has a discount on top of that. So the idea here is that we want you to have a predictable spend and also receive a discount for the fact that you are participating in the WNYLRC co-op because they do an excellent job of managing it. So, but yeah, it's going to be based on your card holders or rather your service population.
And we're able to do that based on individual library or library system, right? So if you wanted to join as an individual library, you can do that, or you can try and encourage the system to join as a whole system, and not just the library.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We work with both individual libraries and library systems. And library systems are a great use case for LibAnswers, actually. So if that is of interest, you can do kind of a group within a group. So that could be an option as well.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Jen.
You mentioned that LibAnswers pairs, though that might not be the right word, with Zoom, Google, Teams, and then you mentioned one other platform, but I don't recall it. It was Microsoft Teams, Zoom for the screen sharing.
Yeah, so for screen sharing, it's Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Cisco WebEx.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, WebEx is always the one that trips me up a little bit, so no worries. Yeah, no problem. My pleasure.
Any other questions for myself or Sarah?
Caitlin, we had a question that came in before the session. Can you remind me what that was?
Yes. Let me just pull it up. Are patrons able to continue a conversation from a previous chat session if they should want to?
Right. Thank you. Thank you. That is a really good question. So In short, the answer is no, not really. Once a ticket is closed, the patron can't really reopen it. They could reply to that ticket. And if they reply to that ticket, I mean, it's still going to come back into the system. But basically, Caitlin and I were chatting about this. More or less what we tend to see is, hi, I wrote into somebody, I wrote into so-and-so and was chatting with them, about such and such. Or I wrote in 2 weeks ago and I was chatting with so-and-so about such and such. Now, the nice thing about that here is if they do provide you that information, you can find the ticket in the system. So for instance, if somebody said to me, let's say, for instance, I'm going to go into my dashboard. So there are a couple different ways to do this. Again, we like to provide you options. That's just the way I'm going to do it. Now, I am currently looking at a view that is not closed, but let's say that I am going to look for closed tickets. And I know that it came into, right now we have all of them selected. So I'm going to say, we know it came into my circulation queue. I can go ahead and filter this, and we know that it came in, so August of 2022, something like that. If they gave us a date, or if they gave us, a fortnight ago or something like that, you could go ahead and actually find the ticket and take a look and see what they were talking about if you needed to find that extra context. So that is available to you. It's always easy to find previous tickets in the system. Oh, now we have some questions. I like this.
Questions, yeah. I actually can answer Carol's, but can you clarify if the cost is based on registered cardholders or service population, not all of whom might have library cards?
Yes, I'm sorry. I used two different things that are not equivalent. I apologize. So based on, it is registered cardholders is the metric. Registered cardholders is the metric.
Thank you. Do patrons get a transcript of the chat session? And I can say yes. It's not automatic, but there is an option when you're chatting with a patron to send them a transcript of the chat session. They do have to provide an email in order to get it. So you need to check and make sure that they provide that information. There's a way to do that when you're chatting with them. If they don't provide it, you just ask for it, and then there's a special icon that you click and it just sends it to them automatically. I often do it whether they ask for one or not, just because I think it's helpful for them to have it if you create a ticket, because then they know they can refer back to it and know what they've shared already in the transcript from the chat conversation if there's been follow-up. So do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was great. That was very thorough.
Okay. And then is there a way to chat? Is there a way to search the contents of the chat, like a keyword? And I think you're about to do that.
Yes. So I showed you one way that you could look for things pretty quickly. Your other option would be to come under your lib chat, and let's say we're looking for transcripts. So obviously you have a number of different options here, but I am going to transcripts, and then we can look in transcript text if we want. So this is going to search for words and phrases that appear in the body of the chat conversation. So that would be, I think that would get to what you're looking at here. So you could search and do it that way. You can also narrow it down further if you knew it was for a specific time period. That would probably get you some better results there. But of course, I don't have to tell you about filtering. So yeah, you do have that option there.
Does anyone have any other questions? I'll give you a minute to think of some, but in the meantime, I did put some links in the chat. The first link is to fill out the form for your certificate of attendance for today. And the second link is for the evaluation for today's webinar. And then the third link that I just put in is information about next Wednesday's webinar with Sarah. We're going to be talking about LibGuides and LibCal and how those platforms work.
Sneak peek, they integrate with LibAnswers and vice versa. So, oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like anyone has any more questions, but if you do, please feel free to email me. If I can't answer it, I can certainly connect with Sarah for further elaboration on any questions you might have regarding LibAnswers, LibChat, or Ask Us 24/7. I want to thank you all so much for coming today. And Sarah, thank you so much for a great presentation.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, everybody. I hope you all have a great day.
Have a great day, and hopefully see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.